Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas one and all. Welcome to Star Citizen Alpha 2.6. I know what you're thinking, it's been a very long time since we talked about this game. An incredibly long time, in fact. And for very good reason. You'll recall that I was
Impact warning.
more than a little irritated by the change to the terms of service that we got over the summer, which basically exempted them from almost all their obligations to the backers, which I'm still not cool with. Very much not cool with. However, I sort of came to the conclusion that, you know what, I spent this money for getting on for 5 years ago now, and I was never going to put in for a refund. Refunds are an option if you're unhappy. Previously, they were denying them, but nowadays you can actually get a refund with a little bit of effort, and there are threads out there on Reddit and so on that will help you achieve that. However, I decided for myself I'm not going to get a refund. My stance has basically become one of I'm still not recommending this game to anybody. Don't go out and back it if you aren't a backer already. I think they still need to do more to earn back a little bit of trust. I think they need to show a bit more progress in order to justify people backing the game at the level that's required. Now, obviously, you don't have to spend a huge amount of money. You can get into the game comparatively cheaply. I'm sort of hesitant to use that phrase because it's not all that cheap actually. You're paying, I believe the cheapest package is $35, but that doesn't get you the whole experience. If I remember correctly, I think that comes with Star Citizen, but not Squadron 42. Squadron 42 obviously being the single-player campaign, sort of like Wing Commander, and Star Citizen being the online multiplayer. However, my decision to accept the terms of sale aside, the reason I'm showing this to you today is because, despite me being very much down on this game for the last 12 months, and I have been. To be honest, there are a lot of people who will always apologise for this game and make excuses for it. I am definitely not one of them. Not many people watch this channel, and I say this every time, but this is my disclaimer. I have an obligation not to mislead people, and that means giving my honest assessment. And my honest assessment of the project over the last sort of 12 months has been, I can't see how it's going to get finished. And I'm making the video today because I am not someone who stubbornly sticks to an opinion, and I'm quite happy to admit fault where, well, it's not even fault really, just the circumstances have changed. Now, as I've been flying around there, you're probably thinking, hey, that looks a lot smoother than last time you were playing, and you'd be correct. The big change for 2.6 is that the game has switched over to Amazon's Lumberyard engine. It's not a true engine switch, it's a branch of CryEngine that's got some proprietary tech in there from Amazon, basically integrating Amazon Web Services. However, performance is markedly better than the previous patch, genuinely better. Now, what you're seeing now is offline mode. It's single player, fully free flight. I forgot how to speak there. So this shows that the game itself runs fairly smoothly, actually. I'm running it on the lowest graphics settings, which should give you a good insight into how good looking this game is and potentially will be. The most impressive thing, I think, has been that the loading times have been drastically improved, which was always a bugbear of mine. It just runs nice and smooth. When you're playing the actual Persistent Universe or Star Marine or any of the other modes, it's still basically unplayable for me. Part of that is my own internet connection, which isn't fantastic. The other element of that is that I believe the European servers provided by Amazon are not online yet, so I'm still connecting to, I presume it's a North American server, and you get a lot of frame drops and a lot of lag because of, I guess it's netcode issues, it's server desync or something. I tried Star Marine earlier. It seems fairly fun, but it was essentially unplayable for me, so just remember I'm trying to give as true a picture here as it's possible for me to do, but your experience will vary. I stand by what I say. I don't think you should be putting money into this game right now. I'm certainly not going to be giving out a referral code for, moral issues. If I'm not spending money myself, then I certainly shouldn't be encouraging you to spend money. However, that said, the reason I'm making this video is because of the changes that have come in. It's looked for the last 12 months like almost no progress on the project has taken place, and we now know that isn't true. I'm going to get out of the seat here and we'll begin looking around this ship. It's a Drake Caterpillar and it's my favourite ship so far, I'll be honest. I really love this thing, and it's the first time I've had an experience in a multi-cruise ship where I think I can see myself having fun with people in this. And just look how good looking everything is. God, that's sexy. Right, I've lost my train of thought. Where was I? Well, tell you what, while we climb down this ladder to... this is like a command module, and where this airlock is here, you can sort of blow off, and this separate capsule separates from the main body and operates independently. So downstairs we've got like a habitation module, and we've got the tractor beam at one of the tractor beam stations, so we'll go down and take a look out of there. Yeah, it looked like nothing had happened, and I was getting very, very annoyed. I felt like they were pissing around, they wasted time. A lot of people were defending them on the basis that, hey, look at the planetary tech, look at all this stuff, grab your hands and whatnot. And I never accepted that as an excuse, because that stuff was a totally different branch. It wasn't compatible or integrated with what you could put on your machine and play. So for all we know, it could be a completely separate function that's totally incompatible with what we're playing now. So to me, that was just an exercise. Oh, hello, is this an airlock? I guess that's not working right now. One of many things, like the tractor beam, but it's a pretty good view from down here, you have to say. This is sort of a pirate. It's described kind of as like a pirate base, but really its true purpose, I suppose, is that of a freighter. Although I see it more as a blockade runner. It seems to be quite fast. It looks fairly menacing for a freighter, to be honest, and it seems to me that this is sort of the kind of thing you'd find operating on, the frontier systems where maybe the full arm of the law doesn't really stretch out there, and you need something a bit rough and tumble, very utilitarian and basic. You'll see like the insulation on the walls here and a lot of yellow railing and stuff that kind of gives the impression that this is very much a rugged, dependable but utilitarian vessel. Now, to continue on my point, the reason this kind of fills me with hope is this shows that actually they have been working hard. They've been working super hard, and switching this over to Lumberyard, I don't know how much work that is. I'm not a technical expert, but the point is it's immediately and noticeably made things better. To the point that, I think this runs fairly smoothly. If I can get this kind of performance when actually playing the game with other people, I'd be super, super pleased. I love this ship. I think it's very well designed. It's done to a very high standard again, and we're going to explore it now while I waffle on. Let's go to upper hallway, whatever that is. Service access. So again, all these components you see here will sort of swap out and will require maintenance and repair, and we've got some sort of workbench here that folds down. Here we've got the it says cap 1 and 2. It makes me think it's a capacitor, like it maybe some kind of battery that's charging off the engines, or some kind of power core. And then further back you've got engineering with all the engines and stuff in down here. Now, this change really does encourage me. While Lumberyard is advertised as being very specific to session-based multiplayer games and not for grand-scale MMOs, I kind of trust that they know what they're doing here, and I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, simply because my initial impression has been very, very good. Obviously we've got two engines here. and here is a console screen for the engineer station. So if you were the chief engineer, this is one of the tools that will be at your disposal. It's very basic at the moment, it's not fully fleshed out, but what you've got is overviews of various systems, the shields and the recharge rate, and then you can distribute power, weapons, shields, and thrust. Let's put that back in the middle. And then this shows current power usage and things like that. And all this will require management. We've got heat levels on all the different components, so on and so forth. It's all coming together quite nicely. Now, I need to sneeze, so let me do that for a moment. I'll cut the video. Grim. Okay, so moving forward, we've got some. We've got a ventral turret here. That does work. I'll get into it just for the sake of proving that it works. Ventral obviously means on the base. Oh, well, there's a ghost of myself there. So that means I flip upside down, and I am now upside down on the bottom of the ship. I think I'd feel a little bit better if those guns pointed totally vertically, but you know, it's not bad. It's not shabby. The fire rate's not fantastic, but I'm guessing it's quite a high power weapon. We'll come out of it. Again, design quality on everything is really good. I'm running this on low graphics on a fairly poor computer, but I mean, look at the detailing. Right, moving forward, we're in the lower hallway now. And this is the elevator access. So this is, I guess you can probably move cargo in this way, but I don't think you would for reasons that will become apparent as we move forward. But this is certainly for the crew, your boarding point. And there we go, I'm now free flying. I'm no longer within range of the grav plating. So let's bring that back up. Nice. Moving forward, we've got habitation access, and I love this because it looks, for some reason it reminds me of Alien. I think just something about the aesthetic reminds me of Alien. And you've got your cooking equipment here and your sink and so on, a toilet which also doubles as a shower, which is kind of gross when you think about it, but you know, space is at a premium. Then you've got your bunks here for your crew members, player or NPC. And you're probably thinking, well, what's the point of having bunks and all these interiors and everything? Bunks are kind of like your save point, so if you and I were playing on the ship together and you had to go grab something to eat for a bit or whatever, then you could go to sleep in this bunk, and it would save your status, and you would wake up in that bunk later, or if the ship was in hangar, then you would wake up in your own habitation module on that station or whatever, I believe. Got some interface screens here that I'm sure will be usable for something in the future. Then we go through to where the ship gets its name from, Caterpillar, which would imply segments. So we have 4 segments. This is the first one. There's kind of like a gantryway up there, and then you've got doors on either side of each module. Each module has an airlock at each end, so you can depressurize one without depressurizing the others, which is good thinking. And here we see marked port or starboard. Let's open the port hatch on this module, and boom. And that is how you load and unload your cargo, both in space and on the ground. You can simply tractor beam containers in through the side, drop them on the grav plating. I didn't notice these lights on the front before, but I have to say, I like... Tell you what, before we go back inside, let's take an actual look at the ship from a distance. There's another tractor beam station on the other side, by the way, which has a great view, it really does. Currently it's in the Kovalex livery, which is kind of like a shipping company, but I like it. I like the red and black. I think it looks very cool. We've got the front turret up here, the ventral turret is down there at the back. Let's move around, take a look at the engine, shall we? Now, I was a very early backer to this, and so I got this ship for less money than you would pay for it today, I believe. Prices are pretty significant though, and we're not really going to get into that. That's not the purpose of this video, and there's no point really going into it if I'm not prepared to recommend that you buy ships to get into the game right now, outside the basic package. I don't see the point of discussing. So you see some very large engines there, and there's a new flight model as well, which is something I completely forgot to touch on, but the new flight model has slowed things down, and part of the reason for that was to try and make combat a bit more intense. Ooh, do these hatches open yet? I guess they maybe house components that you repair in the future. I'm just going to do a flyover here. And of course, remember, the inside of the ship continues to persist. Like, you know, we're not jumping between things here. Some more hatchways. I don't think these work, but it's a docking collar there. Now the new flight model slows everything down, which is supposed to make combat more intense. I haven't tried it yet, but I will give feedback once I have. It also should help with some clipping issues. People were often complaining of falling out of their ships, and that was basically something to do with the refresh rate on the physics, basically. Because of the netcode problems and the other issues that the game was having in the old engine, the game was perhaps updating the position of the player more or less frequently than the position of the ship he was in, and so you can fall out. Moving forward, we've got another identical cargo module, another identical cargo module, and then we get to the cool front module here. And I like this very much. So what you see here is you've got sort of three sets of 2 cargo plates. You can actually put cargo crates there, or you can put, well, we know for a fact you can put Drake Dragonflies, which are kind of like small space bike style fighters. So I believe, looking at it, you could probably put, I presume 3, but don't quote me on it. Maybe you could fit something else in here. I don't know, but what you've got is, where's the panel again? I always forget. Is that it? Yeah. So you have this sort of front cargo bay access, and to me this looks like it could be quite useful. See, people often thought this stuff at the front is you know, weaponry or for ramming or something. You see down here it's marked as a parking sensor. To me, I'm gonna just put something out there, but to me that looks like a locking mechanism for docking with something else. So I don't know if you can make these things do a kiss. Although I doubt it, because they're symmetrical, so they just collide with each other. But it kind of looks like, you know, another module would slide on the front of there, and these 2 arms at the top are there to sort of hold it in place. And these parking sensors serve as a parking sensor and a guide rail to make sure it connects correctly. Do you know what I mean? If you see here, like, this front bit is narrower than the actual cargo modules themselves, so it kind of makes me think that it's to lock together with something. It was mentioned that maybe you ram this ship into a large ship, and this is a method of boarding, but I just don't see that happening. I don't see how the engine would tolerate it. Close that up. So let's climb up. We've only really got the gantry left to look at, I suppose, and then we've got a so the gantry has control panels for both sides. So speedy loading can be done through either side, multiple modules at a time if you've got enough crew. But moving our way back, let's see if I can't find that other tractor access. Is it up here maybe? Upper hallway? That's the command module, so I guess tractor access, here we go. I love this very much. I think the visibility here is fantastic. You can see all the way down the length of the vessel, both sides. You can see those front doors that I left open there. It's a very, very good looking game, and I just wanted to make this video to basically inform you that while I still don't recommend that you buy into it right now, the future is looking bright. Very much so. I hope you guys are having an amazing Christmas. I'm sorry there was no Christmas specific content. Life got in the way once again. But there will be some Motorsport Manager and some F1 2016 upon you all very shortly from my sack. Try to avoid any mental imagery that comes with that sentence. You guys take care, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.